Well, I'll introduce just myself super quickly, and then Abby's going to pray, and then we can start. So I'm Colleen Billing, and I have 5 children here on earth, 1 in heaven, praying for me hopefully every single day. And my 3 older boys are 26, 23, 20. And then I have 2 daughters. Maeve is 18, Sadie is 15. So this is our, let me see, 5th place we've lived and our 2nd house. And we've been here for 15, I think just 15 years. I was just ready to have my last baby when we moved here. So super excited you're all here. Thank you all for being my guinea pigs for this Zoom project that Abby and I are trying to launch. So I think it's going to be really, really great. So, oh, Lauren popped on. We need you to identify yourself, Lauren.
Yes, Lauren Fox. What else am I supposed to say? Were there a couple categories?
Where are you from, and how long have you been in your house?
Oh, great. Well, I guess I technically will reside in Michigan. We're over the border though right now because we're building. And in our house, oh, that's a funny question. So we're in an interim home as we build. So we've only been here for like a month.
Okay. Yeah. So you're like you have a fresh start coming up here. That's super exciting.
Yeah. We move like every 2 years. So yeah, hopefully not anymore, but yeah.
Awesome. All right. If you guys are not concerned with like background noise and kids yelling, super awesome. Leave yourself unmuted and people can jump in. If you are concerned with background noise or you want to be able to, like blow your nose or something while we're having the seminar, then you can go ahead and mute yourself and just unmute whenever you need to. So we'll turn it over to Abby.
Okay. All right, sisters. So let's just turn to the Lord in prayer as we pray in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Abba Father, we just thank you that you're our creator. And we thank you that you have created this amazing world to live in with just all of the gifts, so many of them that we don't even notice throughout our day. Lord, we thank you that we have homes to live in. We thank you that you have broken into our lives in such a way that we want our homes to glorify you and we want others to encounter you in our homes. So, Father, we just ask that you bless our families, bless all those who will walk in our home and all those who have walked in our homes in the past. Bless the families who have lived in these homes before us, and just be with them and just usher them into a deeper understanding of who you are. Lord, we just give this time to you. We ask that you send your Holy Spirit to anoint and bless Colleen as she teaches us tonight. Just give her wisdom, give her love, give her understanding, give her joy, give her everything that she needs, and give all of us just an openness to receive what it is that you want us to know and how you want us to live. Because Father, you are the Lord. You're the Lord of our lives. You're the Lord of our homes. You're the Lord of our families, and you're the Lord of our hearts. We just thank you. Thank you for what you will do. And we give this time to you in your holy and precious name. Amen. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, so before we even start, I have to tell you guys the funniest story of what happened in the half an hour before you all hopped online. So I have literally had the craziest week. I don't know. I won't say in my life, but it's been pretty crazy. My mom, our family home, we moved into when I was 5 years old, and we've been there for 47 years. And my mom has some early stage dementia. And so we're moving her, out of the house and into an apartment. So that's been crazy. And thank God I do this for a living because, I spent like 7 hours setting up all her paper last week and creating a filing system for her, yada, 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 waiting for her house to close. November 16th, it was supposed to close. December 1st, December 23rd, it keeps getting pushed back. So of course, when it closed at 2:00 today. So I'm like on the phone all day instead of like calming myself and preparing and getting ready. And then I text Abby to say, okay, so how early do you want to get on and talk about the last minute things? And she was like, well, I'm ready now. And I was like, oh no, I'm not ready now. Like, we still have an hour and 20 minutes. She's like, no, you're thinking Central Time. We're on Eastern Time. So I was like, ah, I like had no makeup on. My hair is like in a crazy bun. Yeah, it was hilarious. So luckily Abby knows my family really well. So she was able to watch as like my husband and my son and my daughter, everybody's like jumping together and, you know, helping do everything thought I had an hour and a half to do. So anyway, my dog just came in the room and I have to kick him out because he will bark at you. Pedro, you can all say hi to Pedro. Hello. Before we kick him out. Okay, go. All right, I'm back. Okay, so here we go. Buckle your seatbelts. We'll see what God has for everybody. And that's actually kind of a good way to start because so sometimes I give talks at conferences, there are 500 women there, you know, and then I'm at a table all day talking for 8 hours after my talk. And I have woman after woman after woman come up and say like, oh, like I just feel terrible. I'm a failure. My house is crazy. And if you ever walked in my house, you would die, you know? And I always say, you know what? I'm like the priest in the confessional. Like you always feel embarrassed and nervous and you're not quite sure, but from the priest's perspective, he's like, honey, you ain't saying nothing that I haven't heard 1,000 times before, right? And I always say that to my clients and the people to whom I'm giving any kind of a talk, like we are all trying our best, right? And I am here just to help. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but I just want everybody to take a deep breath and, you know, have something nice to sip on while we talk. And hopefully you have a little notebook. And if I say anything wise, that'd be cool if you wanted to write it down. I can't guarantee it will happen, but maybe it will. So when I first started giving talks a long time ago, about 15 years ago, I was telling my mom about this. And my mom's like, okay, so listen, you have to make me a promise. Every time you give a talk about organizing, you have to tell these people what you were like as a teenager. And you need to tell them that I could never see the floor of your bedroom. So that is literally how I start out every organizing talk. So, I mean, either possibly you can relate to that because you were that teenager too, or you have a teenager who is that teenager or a grandchild who is that teenager. So I think, you know, I was one of the messiest teenagers and however, I was the oldest and my dad had a job in public relations. And so they had a lot of like galas and events and stuff like that they were going to. So it was not unusual that I would have to babysit Friday night and Saturday night. So Friday night, I was a normal babysitter and I ate a lot of, you know, Tostitos and watched Saturday Night Live, you know, and all of those things that we did when we were babysitting in the 80s, right? And then Saturday night would come though, and I was bored. So instead of doing, I don't know what normal people would do, but instead of being a normal, I would do things like wax the kitchen cabinets, or I would like pull everything out of the linen closet and like OCD refold everything in there. I started to think as I was telling the story, I was like, I think maybe they didn't really have anything to do the second night often. They just went out because they knew that I was going to do some crazy project, right? When they were gone. So there were hints of my future, I think, even early on. I love to like rearrange the furniture. My mom would come home and the furniture would be rearranged in the living room, you know, and I would have like vacuumed everything, cleaned the baseboards. I don't know, I was weird. When I got to college, I had a messy room like everybody else. But the minute I knew like I had to pull an all-nighter, I was an English major, so I was reading and writing constantly. If I knew I had a paper to write, then I would scour my room. Like my roommates used to joke, like, are you getting ready for the Pope to come over for dinner? You know, like, cause my room I'd like pledge and things college kids don't do. So I was a weirdo from the beginning. But once I got married and I had a baby and I was finally like for the first time in my own house, apartment, all the time, I think that's when like the light bulb went on and the transformation began, because we all know as young moms, or moms period, I think older moms too, if we're living in a cluttered space 24/7, we're going to feel stressed out and overwhelmed. And that started really quickly. And it was not enjoyable at all. And I was home alone and none of my friends had babies yet. So it was kind of a lonely time. So I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn how to keep the clutter at bay. So, about 15 years ago, another transformation happened. I'm 4 months pregnant with my last daughter, and we bought the house that we're living in now. I literally was like puking pregnant, really sick. And don't we all want to move during that time? Isn't that really fun? And so, we get to the new house, and of course, my husband and I, divide and conquer evenly, right? So my job was to declutter or unpack, and organize the whole house. And he had the garage. That was his job, But because I was very pregnant and it was winter, I didn't even walk out in the garage. Probably for 4 months, I never even saw our garage because there was enough to do in the house with 4 littles and a baby growing and just trying to get through all of that. So finally, he comes to me one day and he was like, okay, honey, I think I'm like 90% there and I'm ready for you to come in and kind of give me that help with that last 10%. So I was like, awesome. And I should have known better, right? Because my husband is not tidy. So I walk in the garage and literally, ladies, I kid you not, it looked like a cyclone hit my garage. And that was his 90% ready, And so I can see you laughing, but it's really weird because I can't hear you laughing. So maybe you should unmute because it's going to make me feel more like we're all in this together if you unmute.
Yeah.
So I literally, instead of freaking out, I think I had a Holy Spirit moment and God just gave me this idea. It was like this aha moment that I realized that I was looking in the garage and I'm thinking, you put the kids' bikes in the back of the garage that the kids are going to be getting out every day. Why would you do that? You put X in this spot. Like that seems silly, but it dawned on me, like I have a brain that works that way. Like my brain is naturally sort of programmed to see things in an orderly way. And instead of getting frustrated with my husband, which I was really good at after all of these years in the area of organization, I was like, oh my gosh, he doesn't have that brain. So I really felt at that moment, that was like the moment that I felt that the Holy Spirit was like, you need to use that gift that I gave you to help other people. And that's when I started thinking about starting a professional organizing and decorating business. And it was the craziest decision ever because, like I said, I was not in a place in my life where it was an ideal time, but it has just been such a gift and a blessing. And, I came in and out of, working a lot and working not so much. I homeschooled my kids for 18 years. So I was living in my house without a lot of breaks for a very long time. So that was another just big motivation for me to say, like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I have to have some order and some peace or I'm going to kill somebody. So anyway, why this long dissertation? So I guess I'm telling you guys all of this to offer you some hope. One, a hope that maybe just because you've had a pattern in the past of not getting rid of things or being a messier person, that doesn't mean that you're destined for that forever. Organization is a skill you can learn. And if you really desire to learn it, you can learn it. But secondly, a hope in realizing that some people do have a more natural gifting for this area. I think we as women, right, we're so hard on ourselves. We expect, they used to say June Cleaver, and now I say, like, we all expect ourselves to be able to Joanna Gaines everything, and we can't do that. It's not realistic. We don't have a crew of people following us around and, staff who come in to clean our house before anybody sees a picture of it. Like, that's not real. So it's good for us. And, social media, as great as it's been for a lot of things, it is just the devil's playground of comparison, right? So we're all looking at, oh, look at her kitchen. She has such a cute, oh, I want a marble countertop. Oh, there's no papers on her, whatever, right? We all know what that looks like and what that feels like. So I guess my challenge for all of us tonight is just stop beating yourself up, give yourself like a clean slate and say, Lord, just give me one thing each of these nights that I can kind of grab onto and say, this one thing I'm going to work on for the next month until we meet again. you know, instead of saying, I have to do every single thing that I hear about tonight or every single thing that somebody else is doing, because we get overwhelmed and then we end up doing very little. And then it's this horrible cycle, right? You all know what I'm talking about, right? We get into this horrible cycle of self blame and shame and all of this. And nobody has a grand list up there that says, like, to be a good wife and mother, your house has to look like this, right? It's not, it's just, we need to let that go. So anyway, so let's start with the question, why bother, right? We are all busy women. Whether you have, I remember somebody said once, like, if you have 0 children, 5 children, or 10 children, if you have a husband, your time will be completely taken, right? Because we will give everything we have to the people in front of us. So I think that we have to realize that we have to decide that this is something that's going to be a priority. I mean, we make time for the things that are most important in our lives, you know, and sometimes I have to realize that I'm making more time for, you know, Instagram and like vegging in and checking in with people than I am with some of the things that are more important. So there's no judgment on my part. I'm just saying, in reality, we do make time for the things that are the most important, even if we wish they weren't as important. So if it's something that we really want to do, with a lot of prayer, right, we can decide we're going to do it. So people ask me this all the time, like, why bother? We're so busy, especially now with the virus. People are having to teach their kids at home and monitor all of the schoolwork and everything. And I think the simple, it sounds trite, but I really think it's the truth. I think the reason we commit to this is because God is a God of order, and he created us in his image and likeness. And so our natural hearts are hearts that want to be simple, right? One of you just mentioned, you know, watching the Minimalist documentary. Of course, I watch all of those shows and try to, you know, glean all of the tips from everyone from Marie Kondo to the McGee's and everybody else who's out there right now. And so, but really at the end of the day, you know, this whole time that we have, this short time on earth, is really us trying to imitate God's plan for our life, right? We really just want to try to spend this time living our lives the way he wants us to live it. And I think that we don't have to, the argument for this is, if we don't think God is a God of order, to think about the creation story. Okay, this happened, and then that could happen, and then this could happen next. Or just like looking at the development of a baby in utero. It is the most fascinating. If anybody's, you know, they have those little videos where it's sort of like this fast 3 minutes of like the growth of a baby. And it's beautiful. It's so amazing. So I think there's a pretty good argument that God did create us to not be anxious about our homes, for simplicity, for beauty, for order. So also, the second reason I think we should bother to make time for it is because when we live in a peaceful, organized space, we feel better. We feel happier. You know, it's this little almost like breath of heaven that we get when a room is clean and tidy, right? I always say, like, when your kitchen is trashed, nobody ever says like, oh, this is such a breath of heaven. No, we say like, get us the heck out of here to a restaurant so I don't have to sit and eat in this crazy place anymore, right? So I think that, you know, and especially now with COVID, when we are literally stuck in our houses so much more often than we ever have been in our lives, you know, we know that it literally is causing us anxiety when we're having to live in a place that is full of a lot of clutter. So a dear friend of mine, his name is John Michael Talbot, and he's the founder of a big Catholic community. He's a famous musician. Any of you who are musicians might have heard of him. And he's also a prolific author. He has written about 35 books. When I was a young mom, I found his book called Simplicity. And for whatever reason, I picked it up. I was drawn to it, and it literally changed my life. And in that book, he makes the suggestion that when we are kind of looking at our homes, we look at our homes as the domestic church, which it is, right? We are taught that our homes are little domestic churches, and encourages us in that book to make our homes, to strive to make our homes a reflection of a monastery. So I don't know how many of you have ever been to a monastery, but if you have, you will get this when I say it. Every monastery has two primary qualities. The first quality of a monastery is that there is simplicity there. Like, you will not find trinkets or cha-cha, as my Polish friends like to call it, in a monastery. There are simple things. You know, the only kind of collection you might see is icons on the wall, but even that is really, really simply done. And the second quality of every monastery is they're beautiful. So they're simple and they're beautiful. Okay. All right. So having said all of that, how do we get started? Everybody, I can't tell you how many clients call me and they say, literally, I need help in every single room. So, you know, tell me where to start. So I'm going to talk about 3 things that we can apply each of these 4 weeks to all of the rooms and spaces that we're going to talk about. Okay. So if you're a note taker, these will be 3 good things to write down, because you can go back to it. I'm going to offer you this opportunity to say, like, we're going to have homework every month and you can choose to do it or not do it. I'm not going to ask people if they did it, but it's just sort of a good little accountability. Like, when we check in next time, you can say, like, I cleaned my closet out, or not. It doesn't matter. But so sometimes just a little bit of accountability makes a big difference. So the first thing that we have to do when we're getting started is to literally come up with a vision for each room in your house. And this is the step that everybody skips. Okay, we go right to the decluttering, but we have to have a vision first. We have to plan. Okay, so for example, if your vision for your kitchen is that you want it to be a place where your family can literally sit down and enjoy a family meal together several nights a week, then you cannot have 50 piles of paper at 6 p.m. sitting on the kitchen table every day, right? I had this one client I call it the treadmill story. I tell it all the time. She hired me to work on her like basement family room space, right? And so I go into her house and I ask the question that I always ask when I start with any new client: what is your vision for this room? And she was like, I want this to be like the cool teenager hangout space. I want all the kids to want to come over here. And, you know, I want a space for watching movies and for playing games, yada, yada. And so I was like, so are you hoping that these kids will work out when they're here? And she just started laughing and she goes, I guess I have to get rid of the treadmill, huh? I'm like, yeah, the treadmill's going to have to go then, because the treadmill did not fit the vision for her space. Even though it was acting really nicely as a drying rack for all of her laundry, it was not being used the way she wanted it to be used. So get a notebook, give yourself 3 minutes in each room, and literally write a couple sentences like, this would be my dream for this room. If I could have it any way I wanted, this is my dream for each room, and this is the vision that I have for it, how I want to use the space. Okay. You know, we go home, you know, and we like dive into the clutter and we miss the whole planning purposes. So we have to look beyond the clutter and just sort of envision the life we want to live in this space. And then ask yourself, like, does this room reflect the vision I have for it? And for a lot of you, some of your rooms probably already do reflect that vision. You know, like I said, most of us have a couple rooms that we really need help with, a couple rooms that we're happy with. So, quick story about my master bedroom, since we're going to be talking about master bedrooms tonight. When we moved into this house, as I told you, I, you know, had 5 littles almost, and had never had a master bath. And I was beside myself. It was like, I was like gold. The walls were going to be gold. I was so excited. It's a tiny little room. I can show it to you later. And literally I called all of my people to stand in my little master bathroom. And I was like, if you are a man, raise your hand. And like my husband looks at me and my 3 boys look at me and they all kind of squeamishly like put their hand up. I'm like, now if your hand is in the air, I want you to look around and really enjoy the view, because this is the last time you're ever going to be in this room. And I mean, ever, you know? And I mean, my husband and I had already decided he was going to use the bathroom downstairs because he got up at a very different time. And so it was funny though. I said, I am going to have one place where I never fall in the toilet on accident. And it always smells good because, you know, I was mostly a boy mom. So I was used to all of those things. But I knew when we moved into this house that we would be on a really tight budget. And we were going to have to really give up vacations for a while. And so I was determined that I was going to make this master bedroom of mine my little bed and breakfast. And so we'll talk a little bit later about some of the specifics of decorating and everything. But that's just a good example of like, take your time and plan for what you really want in this space. Okay, so one, plan, you know, come up with your vision. Number two, actually designate specific time that you're going to work on an organizing project. I think some of us think like miraculously, while we have, you know, 4 children running around or grandbabies we're caring for or mothers that we're taking care of. I'm like smack dab in the sandwich generation big time right now. I have 4 children in college and 1 in high school. 4 of them are still living at home. Thank you, COVID, and eating all my money. Let me just tell you, I mean, all my money. And so thank you that you all signed up for this workshop because it will be buying groceries. Thank you very much. And I literally have, you know, there's so little time. So you have to plan your time for a project. And that sometimes takes some creativity. I know the feeling of being on a tight budget. So when I was a younger mom, a lot of my girlfriends and I just traded time. So on a Saturday morning when I had a project to do, my kids would go to her house for 3 hours, and the next Saturday, they would come to my house for 3 hours. So that's just like one idea. If you are blessed with a mother or mother-in-law who's close by and grandma will take those kids for a period of time, then that is something that you have to utilize. But we have to like throw out the door this idea that we should be able to get things done while our kids are all like yanking on us all day long, or all the other things that, you know, pull us away are going to suddenly go away, because designated time is really, really important. When you designate that time, you have to be hard on yourself. Put your phone away, somewhere away from you. You know, you can like let yourself check it once every half an hour or something, but put your phone away from you. And then the third thing, pick one room and do it start to finish. So how many people can relate to this? We're going to say, I'm going to clean my master bedroom today. And so we get a box or a bin and we start putting all of the children's toys or, you know, the Goodwill donations or everything else that doesn't really belong in our bedroom. And then we start moving it over to, let's say, the kids' bedroom where, you know, the toys have accumulated in here. I'm bringing them back. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my gosh, the Legos, they're everywhere. I'm just going to sort these really quickly. And then we start doing something else in the kids' room, right? I see a bunch of you laughing. So we all know, stop, don't do the Legos, pick one room and go with it. You know, and it's like, you have to put blinders on and say, I'm going to dump these things in these other spaces. Sometimes I just say, put them in the hallway right outside the room you're working on, so you're not tempted to start another project somewhere else, right? So I'm going to give you a statistic that is not meant to scare you. It's meant to encourage you. The average room takes 4 to 12 hours to declutter and clean. Okay. The reason that's good news is that most of us are hard on ourselves and thinking like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just get this done in 2 hours? When in reality, this room has been messy for like 6 years. And we somehow think that we're supposed to be able to clean it up in 2 hours. I always kind of like laugh quietly to myself when a client calls me and says, I want to hire you to do my kitchen. Can you come from like 9 to noon? And I laugh and I say, I can come from 9 to noon and we can start your kitchen. But unless your kitchen is like 4 by 4, we will not finish your kitchen in 3 hours, right? So we have to also have a realistic expectation of how much we can get done, you know, in a given day. So, but if you think about it, if a project takes 6 hours, let's say that's a half a day, right? I mean, a 6-hour project could, if this is your kitchen and your kitchen is going to get transformed in 6 hours, that's going to change your life, right? Like imagine your worst room and now it's clean, like, and lovely the way you want it. If that's a half a day project, if you really get rid of all the rest of the sort of distractions that we all have all the time, you have to plan for that though. It won't happen miraculously, right? And also clean as you go. You know, have that garbage can ready and the vacuum cleaner and the rags and the pledge or whatever you want to use, and wipe your baseboards, vacuum behind that furniture as you move things away and replace it. And, you know, rearranging the furniture is one of my biggest tips for people, because something happens, right, when we rearrange the furniture in a space. It makes us feel like we have a new room. And there's sort of a new motivation to take care of that space when we rearrange it. Almost in every room in my house, I make sure I have at least like 2 different ways that I can put the furniture. And I totally got this from my mother. She was a chronic furniture rearranger. I'd like on a Saturday morning, I'd wake up and she'd be like, do you want to rearrange the furniture in the family room? And I'm like, yes, you know, we were so weird and we just loved doing that. So that, and kids love that. Unless you have a kid who absolutely hates change, and I do have one of those. The rest of my kids are just constantly rearranging their furniture, which can be really fun for them. So last thing, the number one question that I get from people everywhere is, how do I decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to let go of? Right? Can anybody, like, how many times have we had something in our hand and we're like, like this agonizing decision, you know, and you, if somebody were watching you like fly on the wall, they would probably be like, oh my gosh, it's a Tupperware that's 6 years old, put it in the garbage can, right? But we're like, but this Tupperware is a perfect size, you know, and we just, every reason in America to hold on to things. So here is, you know, the telltale test. There are 2 questions you have to ask yourself. Question number 1, do I love this thing? Okay. It could be ugly. You don't even have to be using it a lot, but it's literally one of your favorite things. Like if your house were on fire and it's something you would grab, you get to keep it. The trick is you can't love everything, right? That's the trick. Second question, is this an item that I use on a regular basis? Okay. If you can answer yes to either of those questions, then it can be in the keep category, at least for now, right? All right, so do I love it? Would it be something like, you know, if I had 15 minutes to get out of my house forever, would it make the cut? My husband always jokes like, I hope I would be on your list. You know, like, would you grab me if you had 15 minutes? I'm like, it depends on the day. So, and 2, do I use it on a regular basis? And I kind of term that regular basis, like every year, at least once a year, are you using this? I mean, obviously some things are seasonal and we only use them once a year, but if it's something you use regularly, I hope that's helpful. And here's another little helpful tip. Do you know when you're doing this, you're trying to make this decision and there's that pause? It's like, okay, you know, if you're doing Marie Kondo, which I like a lot of things about her system, but there is no way in heck I would ever tell anybody to dump every item of clothing they have on their bed and then go through it every single one item at a time. Like that's so overwhelming for people. So, but she does have a good point in that sometimes just like picking the thing up makes you say like, oh my gosh, this hasn't fit me for like 16 years. Why in the world is this still in my closet, right? So, and we'll talk about how to kind of discern clothes specifically to get rid of in a few minutes, but we have to be honest and a little bit hard on ourselves. That's why it's kind of easier when you have somebody else there helping you. Maybe some of you who are friends can like team up and work on that a little bit. So, I mean, sometimes I can literally say to my clients who I know them well enough, like, if you hesitate, it means you do not love it, right? If you hesitate, put it in the donation bin and give it to somebody who might love it and who might really use it. I really think it's a form of Christian charity to declutter our houses, because there are women out there who there's always somebody who is more in need than we are, right? So if we are not using something, get rid of it and give it to somebody who might use it or love it. Okay. So typically, there are 4 primary trouble spots in people's houses. And so when Abby and I kind of looked at the different topics that we wanted to talk about, I was like, these are the 4 areas that people for 15 years, I get the most questions about. So we sort of took those 4 topics and separated them and then added, a few other things to them as well. So I will tell you the 4 spaces are master bedrooms, office space, which paper clutter goes along with that, kitchens, my favorite, and kids spaces. Okay, so those are sort of going to be the 4 themes for these 4 months that we're going to talk about. And we're talking tonight specifically about bedrooms because the other sort of topic that we want to touch on tonight is like prayer and creating sacred spaces specifically for prayer in our homes. So I'm going to talk for about 10 more minutes on this, and I'm going to try to give you a little tour of my bedroom with my computer. We'll see how that goes. And then I want to just stop talking and I want you guys to ask questions and talk amongst yourself, and we'll see if we can come up with some more answers to some more specific questions. So, all right, here we go. Let's talk about the master bedrooms. The reason that I wanted to sort of start here is because your master bedroom is your sanctuary. So let's continue the monastery idea, right? Our master bedrooms are our sanctuary. So if our home is our monastery and our master bedroom is our sanctuary, you'll have to unmute for this. What is our bed?
Say one more time.
If our home is our monastery, big picture, right? And our bedroom is our sanctuary, what is our bed?
Tabernacle.
Close.
Altar.
Our altar.
Altar.
Our bed is our altar, right?
If you're pregnant, maybe it's a tabernacle.
That is so true. You guys can all stay unmuted. I want to hear you laugh. So how many of you have ever seen a messy altar?
Oh, yeah.
All right, maybe if you work at the church, you've seen a messy altar in the church, but for the most part, it's very rare that you see an altar that's messy, right? And so I'm trying to make a point here that our making your bed is a really great first step, kind of in all areas, because when we start off our day, so Jose Escriba has this wonderful, many of you have probably heard about it, sort of phrase called the heroic moment, right? He talks about how the minute we wake up every day, we have an opportunity to choose to be sacrificial. So the best thing we can do is make the first choice for Jesus in the morning, the first thing we wake up. He calls that the heroic moment. So for some of us, that means like, don't hit the snooze button, or maybe only hit it once. Maybe you've been up 4 times nursing in the last 7 hours, so you get to hit it twice, whatever. But I really kind of try to use that to think about making my bed, okay? Okay, is it really that big of a deal that we make our bed? I mean, is Jesus gonna, we're gonna get to the pearly gates and he's gonna be like, you never made your bed? No, okay? But I think the making of the bed is sort of that like first thing we can do every morning to say, I'm gonna choose order and beauty. And it always affects me. On the mornings I'm rushing and I don't make my bed, and then it's 2 PM and I have to come in my bedroom for something, and it like stuff is everywhere. I'm like, ugh, like get me out of here, right? Versus the mornings I get up and I do that and I walk in my room at 2 o'clock and my bedroom looks beautiful and I'm like, oh, okay. And I think everybody knows that feeling. Some people don't care as much, some people care more, but I think it's worth mentioning that it can make a big difference. My husband, who's a terrible bed maker, I always tell them that if I die first, his penance to pray for my soul is going to be to make the bed every day. He has to make the bed and pray for me every day. And he's like, oh, could you pick something else? Like, nope. So some specific questions about bedrooms I want to address really quickly, okay? Our clothes. It's a huge issue for, gosh, almost everybody, because clothes are hard. So like the biggest thing I can say about clothes is prune regularly. So at our house, we do a twice a year kind of go through our closets. The kids do this and I do it too. So we do it right after Christmas because that's when the new stuff comes in, right? And then we do it at the beginning of the summer because we need to try those shorts on and we need to see what actually fits us from the last season and, you know, deal with that. And then we kind of know where our space is and we are off to Goodwill with all of the things that we don't love. Another like just quick thing to say about clothes. I think, okay, we're women, right? It's important to stay hopeful for those of us who are like me, kind of always fighting the food demons, right? And the weight demons. But there's got to be a line in the sand that we draw at some point. And so I think that having just moved my mom out of her house, she had 3 closets. Once my dad died, she then took over all of his space too. And literally when she finally let me go through her clothes with her, we got rid of 1 full closet worth of clothes. So in her new apartment, she now has the guest bedroom and the regular closet full of clothes, most of which she does not wear, right?
Sure.
So I think it's just a really good sort of reality check. Awesome statistic is this: we wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. That was a really like, wow moment for me when I thought about that. So a good kind of test when you're going through your clothes is, do I really feel comfortable in this? Do I like how I look in this? Okay. And I have a bin of skinnier clothes too. And I think that's a good and hopeful thing. But I don't have a closet that's 3 sizes down from where I am as a 52-year-old woman. Like, let's like some of you really young moms, all the hope is in front of you, you know, but like us menopausal women, there comes a point where we have to like face some reality and say, I'm never going to be a size 8 again. I'm just not, you know, like I'm not giving up wine and chocolate. So that's just not going to happen. Life is too short. I will eat overpriced ice cream, which is like a whole day's worth of calories when I decide to eat it. So, you know, we have to make those decisions. So wear clothes that you feel good in and give the smaller clothes. Or, you know, a lot of people say to me like, oh my gosh, my sister bought this for me. It's like a $50 blouse. I just can't give it away. Do you love it? No, not really. Do you wear it? No, not really. Oh my gosh, put it in the Goodwill box, you know, like get that closet free. So when you open it, you're not staring at clothes that make you remember how you're not 10 pounds skinnier. Like, why do we persecute ourselves in this way? Like, have only clothes hanging up in your closet that fit you. If you have like a goal outfit or goal clothes, put them away somewhere else and get them out periodically and try them on. But keep the clothes in your closet that fit you and you're comfortable in, okay? Another great little tip for bedrooms: commit to folding and hanging up your clothes every day. Now, we all know that like sounds really simple, but it can be hard. And this is where like being Catholic comes in so handy, because every single thing we do, we can do with a penitential heart. Like we can say, all right, who in my family really needs like prayer? Who's like going through something really hard right now? All right, I'm typically a person, I'm like speaking generally, like I'm a person who, you know, takes off my clothes at night and I throw them on the floor, and every couple of days I'll put them away. If we start to get into the habit of saying, every time I take something off, I'm going to put it away, either in the dirty laundry or I'm going to put it back. That's going to make a really big difference. Okay. Also, people always ask me about like numbers, like, well, how many t-shirts, how many pairs of socks, how many pairs of underwear? You know, I think we feel better if we think like, okay, well, she said this number and this is what I have, so I'm doing okay. So I'm like, okay, I don't know, let's pick a holy number, 12. I mean, none of us go on vacation forever longer than, you know, usually like 10 days. So if we have 12 pairs of underwear, praise God, we should not run out of underwear. We don't wait 12 days to do laundry, right? So 12 underwear, 12 socks, 12 t-shirts, okay? I dare you all to count how many t-shirts you have.
That's a lot. I think 12's a lot.
You think 12 is a lot? That's
Holy
good.
smokes.
So you're living a simple life then already, maybe.
Yeah, I'm like a psycho. My sister Stephanie on here. She saw me have an adult tantrum the other day in my closet.
But you know what's funny? I'm going to guess, I'm going to do this homework too. I'm going to count my t-shirts because I have more than 12. I don't know, maybe I have like, but I probably only wear like 6 of them. Like they're my favorites, right? They're really and cozy and they're the ones that fit me. And I still have t-shirts sitting in my drawer that I should get rid of. They're a little bit too small now. Thank you, menopause, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to do the same homework that I'm going to give you guys every single month. But at the end of the day, you guys, like our bedrooms should be holy places of relaxation. And again, there's a should. I shouldn't say that, but I think that is something that we could all agree, like that's a great desire, to have our bedrooms. Like our bedrooms are not the place where all of our kids should dump their crap. I know some of you are like, oh yeah, well, come and tell my kids that. But honestly, I think as women, I say this over and over in every talk, again, we don't take the time to take care of ourselves. And your bedroom could be the one spot in your house where all of the other people's stuff does not live. I mean, if you have a super messy husband, then you're going to have to figure that out. Like I just clean up after him because I can't stand it. So he's gotten better in 28 and a half years of marriage. He loves me a lot and wants to stay married. So he does pick up his clothes a lot more than he did when we first got married. Right. So no, he's stuck with me forever. But so anyway, I just like, a lot of my clients say to me, like, sometimes I just need your permission. Like, I need you to tell me I can throw that away. And I'm not being a terrible person because like my aunt crocheted that Afghan for me 20 years ago. And I've thought it was the ugliest thing ever since she gave it to me. So I feel guilty. Like, no, get rid of it. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Can I interrupt?
Jump in, Sally.
Okay. I have an Afghan in the basement. I can like run down there right now with my laptop. That literally was made by either my grandmother or my aunt. All right. Probably when I was in elementary school. What am I going to do with the Afghan? It's going.
I'm going to say, do you love it? Do you use it?
No, it's, you know what? It is literally right next to the washer. It's right next to the washer for months.
That's your first item that's going to go, Sally. It's your first item that's going to go. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
If I could take a screenshot and send it to y'all, I would.
I love it. I love it. Next time we can figure out how to share some pictures.
Oh my, yeah, that would be fun.
I'm going to try something. Ladies, you'll have to tell me if it's working or not. Okay. So,
oh gosh, that makes me laugh.
my bedroom is also the place where I pray, which is why I wanted to talk about prayer also and creating those spaces for prayer. So let me just say a couple things about prayer first, and then I'm going to give you a little tour of my room. We'll see how this works. I'm hoping that it won't be really awkward and weird, but we're going to try and you'll all be merciful. I'm hoping if it doesn't. But I think that it's so easy. I'm going to keep going back to this. It's so easy for us not to prioritize ourselves. And we think that we're a good mom by doing everything for everybody else, or a good wife, or a good sister, or a good friend. When really, in reality, if we are not taking care of ourselves, if we don't go to the well and fill up, we have little to give all of the people in our lives. Or we're giving it and we're going to be burnt out and full of anxiety and stressed out and anxious and resentful. How many people have struggled with that? Your kids, your husband, like, really, I do all the work, when really it is our job to say, I have to have a break. I have to have a break. Okay. And for me, there's 2 ways that I take a break. One, I take some Sabbath time every Sunday. And I literally have thoughts about it because I know that it makes me a better mom and a better wife and a better daughter and a better sister. I take Sabbath time every Sunday. And we started this right when we moved to this house. So when my kids were little, I would literally pretend I was leaving. I would put my coat on, and my husband had started his own little tradition that he played a board game every Sunday with the kids. And I got to sit a couple, sometimes the whole day, like once, you know, those particular years where you're in a sweet spot, like nobody's nursing, everybody's pretty much okay. And then like the next year it's gone, or the next month it's gone, who knows?
Oh no, Colleen, I think you froze. Is she frozen for anyone else?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm so happy and rejuvenated, and we just have to let ourselves do that. Okay. So, and the second way I relax in some ways is just by allowing myself time for quiet with every day, or as many days as I make it a priority, you know, and I try to make that every day. But I think, you know, when I was at U of I, there was this like fiery on fire Protestant girl who lived right across the hall from me. And she literally was the one who first started talking to me about like daily prayer. And, you know, I was like a good Catholic, right? Like I was like, well, I go to mass and, you know, like I'm all about, you know, my life is a prayer, you know, the scripture, like I pray unceasingly. Such a bunch of baloney. Like I pray when I'm washing the dishes, like, okay, yes, all of that is prayer. It's good. And there are times in our lives, especially when our kids are little, where sometimes that's all we got for a day, and that's okay. But if that's all we got day after day after day, and then we're so stressed out and we wonder why, you know, Jesus tells us to keep holy the Sabbath, not as a suggestion, as a commandment, because he knows we need it. So he knows we need that time with him. Okay. So if we create a space that's going to draw us there, that's peaceful and lovely, and a space where we want to be, we're going to be more likely to go to that space to have that time for quiet. Okay. So there's my rant, you know, and it's great that we're going to mass, or maybe you're a rosary prayer or devotions or things like that. But I think sometimes what fills me up the most is when I can just sit. I can sit with them. I know Saint Therese had this famous quote, you know, if somebody asked her about adoration, like, well, what do you do when you go to adoration? And she said, I look at him and he looks at me and we're in love. And I get teary every time I think of that quote, because like, whoever told us that, you know, our worth and our value is in like all the things we do. Jesus just loves us, you know. I mean, how many of you relate to the Martha and Mary story like crazy? And you're the Martha, right? I am Martha. I'm busy about many things. And Jesus is just like chastising me, not because he doesn't love me, but because he wants to say, like, Mary chose the better portion because she chose to be with me. And I want to take care of you. So come and sit at my feet and be with me. And ladies, I mean, I have 5 kids, so it's not like I'm not talking like I don't know what your life looks like with a bunch of little children. I've been there and they won't leave. So sometimes I'm still there, you know, so, you know, it's hard. It's really hard to make that time. So, but we got to try. All right. So I'm going to give you a quick little tour of my little prayer space / sanctuary space, right? Otherwise known as my bedroom, and a few little specific things. Okay. So what I wouldn't suggest, unless you absolutely have to, is having a Peloton in your bedroom. You know, that is really not ideal, but it's in my bedroom because all of my children are in their bedrooms still. So, you know, hopefully in a year or so, that's going to be out of my bedroom and somewhere else. But a couple little fun things about like rooms / prayer space. Okay, so here is my bed. Can you all see? This is this is my bed. My little pictures that are super old of my babies. And something that I want to say about your bed, okay? I literally save my birthday money from my mom every single year, and I buy something beautiful. And years I've bought myself a new bedspread, like, so I have a couple, so seasonally I can change it out. And one year I spent all my birthday money on literally those 5 beautiful pillows. They're really pretty. They weren't the $2 pillows, and I have plenty of those in different places, but in my bedroom, I spent a little bit of extra money on really beautiful pillows, and just love it. I love being in this room. I think that is such a gift to myself and my kids. My kids are not allowed to just come in and hang out in my bedroom unless they ask me, but you know where they want to be all the time? On that bed, because the bedspread is like super soft. It's one of those like Sherpa, you know, yummy soft bedspreads, and they love it. They want to come in my room because it's a lot more organized and pretty than theirs. So that's one thing. Also, I'm going to show you the walk. La, 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 la. So I have like a little cozy, you see if you can see it. I have 2 little chairs with a blanket over each of them and a pretty pillow, more pretty pillows, and my pretty little painting that I have above it. And the reason that we have now, it's a big bedroom. So I realize some people have a really small room. I had a tiny bedroom in my last house. So this is like luxury living here for me. But the reason that we have that little sitting area is because I'm old and I can't really like sit up in bed with my husband anymore and comfortably like watch a movie, right? Like we're like, my back hurts, my neck hurts, you know? So like, it's nice to have a chair to sit in, but if you can squeeze one little chair into your room, it's really nice to have that. Some people like to sit when they pray. I like to sit at my desk when I pray. So I'm gonna show you my little desk that has my half drunk glass of wine and you know, it's too bright with that lamp. I have a sweet little white desk here, and I have my candles burning, and I have my twinkle lights. You can see up here. I love twinkle lights. They make me happy, and my house. And then I'm going to try to show you my closet, and that's the last thing. Then you guys are up. I don't know if it's going to be bright enough, but my mom was at one of my talks once, and I just told you about her closet problem, and I was telling people, so tell me if you can see this. Okay.
Oh, sure.
So this is my closet. So this is my side. This is my half. And those are all the clothes I own. And I have a dresser down here. My dresser is underneath my clothes in my closet. So we have, you know, a Peloton in our bedroom. So we had to make some space for it. But you can kind of see, if I show you a little bit more up close, that there are different colors. My hangers are color coded. So green, I have all my workout clothes. And then I have my casual white shirts. And then I'm more white hangers that have like nicer white tops. And then blah, 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 on and on we go. And I have all my sweatshirts that are folded in this spot. I don't even know if you can see this. My husband's stuff is not color coded in any way, any shape or form. But you know, every once in a while, I just geek out and like fix up his side too. So that's kind of my closet. And I hate clothes shopping too, so that really helps. If like clothes are your thing, it's going to be harder for you, but I would much rather shop for food and wine than I would for clothes. So that's kind of where I am. Okay, ladies, let's talk. What do you got? Yes, ma'am.
I'll go first. I'll be honest, I don't have kids at home. I'm in a different spectrum right now. My kids are grown and I'm actually going to be a grandma.
Jealous. I can't
But
wait.
we're not announcing it publicly. She's 2.5 months, but yay.
That's awesome.
So my twinkle lights are actually in my family room. I love twinkle lights.
They're awesome.
They're awesome. So that was my share.
Awesome. They're just happy.
They are. I have them in the kitchen and in my family room.
Awesome.
I had an idea. I went through a closet with a friend of mine, my neighbor actually, and she has an incredible amount of clothing. I mean, like her entire bed, like just covered, and like we took it all out. We did the Maria thing.
Okay.
And we went through every piece, and she could tell me a story associated with every single piece. Who bought it, why they bought it, etc. So it was like a counseling session. But I think it can be helpful to pair someone like that with that personality when she has this incredible mind. She's a physician. So like it has served her well to have this type of a mind. With someone like
extraordinary detail.
Yeah, with someone like me who's just like very blunt to the point, you know, just saying like, you're never going to wear that again. You will never fit in that ever again. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, you've had too many children. This ship has sailed. So like, so I just maybe find a friend who's the opposite of you and like work together.
Great idea. I have a client, Lauren, a regular client. She's actually cuts my hair, and we have not exchanged $1 in 15 years. So I buy all my products from her. She cuts all her hair. And when we get to a certain dollar amount, I come over and do a 5-hour project for her. And it's been so fun. But literally, we're such good friends at this point where, and she's one of those clients where I just keep redoing a lot of the same things because she's not really ever going to keep all of this. So that's why she's like, you're in my life forever because you're always going to need your haircut. So this is great. So I literally remember her like holding up this shirt once, and she's like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, that is the ugliest shirt I have ever seen in my life. Throw it away. Like, I don't even know if I want you to donate that shirt. It's so ugly, you know? And she's like, you're so mean. I'm like, no, I'm trying to help you. Like, I would never do that for a client that I didn't know well, but isn't it a gift to have a friend who will just like tell you the truth, you know?
Definitely.
So what else? What are some other like clothes, bedroom, kind of general, you know, things that are a struggle? Do any of you have bedrooms that you love?
No. I don't hate mine. I don't hate mine. I want to know, do you have a television in your room?
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Nope.
You know what? We never use it. We never use it. It should go.
Yeah. Again.
That's definitely one of my things.
You have two? Is that what you're saying, Megan? You have 2 televisions?
No, just
Right.
one. Just one
I don't
television.
have 2. I usually have at least 2 children in my bed.
Oh, 2 children. Yeah, I did that too. I had in our bed.
No, I was saying Sally has 2 things now already. She can get rid of
Yeah.
the Afghan and the TV.
Thanks for keeping track. I gotta write those down.
No, I definitely.
Right. If we're going with the bedroom as a sanctuary, no
I totally agree.
For me, it's for some of you that might be like your only place you can ever sit and like watch a movie or something like that. Now we'll bring our laptop in to watch a movie. And for a short time, we did have a TV in there because we did want to use it like to watch movies, but we never used it.
And see, we don't use ours either anymore.
It's
7 years.
We do use ours. I do use mine. That is, movie nights with the kids sometimes used to be on our bed.
Super
That's fun.
Yeah,
that's
so that's
fun.
there. But I do have to say, my trouble area, we have a dresser, is all the crap I let accumulate in the dresser. It's really like there's these pictures, and then you're I don't know. That's my trouble spot, is decluttering that dresser.
So let me give you a quick thought on that, Gail, and this for everybody who has that. Again, like I love this phrase. So I have a client I've been working with for 2 years. She owns 5 homes.
Okay.
She owns a business, a home above her business, her home. She has some special needs sisters. They own a home for the sisters, her parents. It's crazy. And her husband has a home they had before. So I'm going to be busy for the rest of my life with this woman. And she literally is Polish. And so that's where I like came. She was like, cha-cha, it's all cha-cha. You know, that's what it's Polish people call it. Like all this crap, we just call it cha-cha. So this is like my new favorite word. So it's the cha-cha dresser, right?
It's
So
tchotchkes, by the way. Just saying. It's, you got to get the E on the end.
all right. We call it the cha-cha. I know what tchotchkes like cookies or something like that. I don't know.
Well, our mom just says tchotchkes like you said, just like crap, just everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knickknacks. Knickknacks.
They're like little knick-knacky things, but they're not
Dustables.
knick-knacky, right? Okay, so let me show you something. This is my nightstand right next to my bed, okay?
Okay.
Know how well you can see it. I have a lamp on it and a little holy water, and I have a really cute little, really craftsy, one of my girlfriends made. She painted this little wooden container, and I have all my prayer stuff in here and the books that I'm currently reading. That's it. Okay, this is like a little freebie, like drape that somebody gave me, like $0, or maybe I paid like $2 at Walmart for it or something like that. But I think that when you're dealing with kind of all of that little stuff, that's the hardest stuff to deal with.
Yeah,
So-
because mine is filled with every single charger. That's the charger for the phone, the charger for my iPad that I can read. It's the charger for my Fitbit watch because it's different. So it's like consumed, and it's like after a while, I'm like, I can't even put a book on there.
Okay. So I have an idea for you. I am the queen of bins. Abby will attest to this. I hate boxes because boxes like all somebody had to tell me once was, you know, those little like roly-poly bugs?
Yeah.
Well, they love boxes and spiders love roly-polies. So when you have boxes, so when I work with the client, we get rid of all their boxes and we get bins. You wait till they go on sale, like at Walmart, and you stock up, okay? Plus, when you can see through something, like all my Christmas stuff, if they're in red bins, right? And my Easter stuff is in purple bins or whatever. I have one. So, but get some clear bins and label them charging cords. Put it under your bed. So they're all still right there. They're accessible, or you could put it in your closet on a shelf if you have space there. But the idea is to containerize. One of my clients says, like, on your tombstone, it's literally going to say like a bin for everything and everything in its bin. Because I am psycho about bins. I love them. They help us containerize, like things should live together, right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, they don't have to live in chaos, right? So movies, if there's one spot in your house you watch movies, go get all your movies and bring them to one place, you know? I mean, you don't, well, maybe you do, but I was gonna say, like, we don't have our underwear in like 7 different places in our house, right? We have them in one drawer. Maybe you do, I don't know, I'm not saying anything, but but to have like things together and have them close to where you're going to use them. When we talk about paper clutter and office space, we're going to really talk about that. Like, where do you pay your bills? Well, your stuff you use for all of that office-y stuff should be close together and you'll be more successful. So, okay, what else?
Well, one thing that slows me down is the decision fatigue. So like you said, every item on the dresser or every item of clothes requires a decision. And usually I just stop before I can, or it's like, I feel like it's a problem that can be solved by a better dresser, or, oh, maybe I should get this bin and I can't get to the store till this time. So I just feel like I'm making lots of excuses for myself. And I know I've heard somebody say, well, if you look in the mirror, you're the problem, but you're also the solution. But it's so tiring. And so I start and stop lots of things. So I don't know if you have any encouragement of like how to push through that.
I do. So here's my thought. And sometimes I will actually literally do this with the client when we're sitting there. Get a timer, Gretchen and anybody else. And I will say, like, okay, listen, here's this pile of stuff, right? We're going to go through it fast because the agony comes in like, oh, I don't know. My kid did this art project when they were in 2nd grade and it's so cute. Do you think your kids are going to want those art projects? I'm telling you, moms, we just went through this with my mom. Literally, we were like, she's held on to things from, I just found my kindergarten report card in like on the final days of organizing in my drawers. And I mean, although, okay, great. It was fun to look at. Do you think my life has changed because she saved my kindergarten report card? Right. And it was bad. There just was stuff from our entire childhood. She saved all my brother's trophies from his entire life. And he was like, Mom, are you serious? Like, I don't want any of them. Throw them away. Like, so I think sometimes we think, oh, we have to hold on to these because our kids are going to want them. Okay. So I just am giving you permission. They're probably not going to want them.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about this when we talk about kid spaces, but every person in my house has a special bin. Okay. My husband has 2 because he's a little extra. And you get to keep whatever you want that will fit in your special bin. You can pick the size as long as it fits somewhere. You can pick the size. And then if you want to keep something, so you're going through that stuff on your dresser and there is like some little sentimental thing, you're like, oh, I don't want to get rid of this. You can put it in your special bin, which means I don't want to get rid of this stuff, but it doesn't need to sit out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's huge. So if you're with somebody else, they can say like, okay, boom, boom, boom. We're going to go through this quickly. And if not, set a timer for 10 minutes, do short increments. Say, I'm going to see how many things I can get through on this dresser in 10 minutes. And then like, if we were like, okay, this was good, this was fun, I'm going to do 5 more, or I'm going to do 10 more minutes. and see if that works. But it works for a lot of people because they just need like somebody or something. They need to be like fighting the clock. You need to make it a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how
I do that with my kids. I don't do that with myself.
Exactly. Right. We would do like this thing we called it the 5 o'clock tidy when the kids were little, because we wanted to like tidy up before daddy got home. Right. So somebody would get to pick the music, and we would like blare the music through the house, and everybody would run around as fast as they could. Because for whatever reason, kids love fast. Right. And they'd be like, I got the upstairs, I got the laundry room, I got, and they would all run around while the music was blaring, and the house got picked up. Now, if I just would say like, go pick up the house, they'd be like, ugh, but we're programmed like they are too, right? If there's some benefit, even if it's like fun music, like if you're trying to go through a hard project, have a nice cup of coffee you can be sipping on while you're doing it. Or if it's the evening, like have a nice glass of wine or a cocktail that you can be like, I'm going to do this terrible project, and I'm going to, enjoy a nice gin and tonic while I'm doing it, or, something that is a gift to you too, for just doing a crappy, icky job that has to be done.
Yeah. Thanks.
What else? What else do we struggle with in our bedrooms?
I'm wondering about developing a prayer space. Like, what tips would you have for choosing what to put there? And in my experience, I kind of like just get things and I add rather than like finding something and replacing it. So whether it's a prayer space or something else, like, I guess that's 2 questions, but
No, that's a great.
pick one too.
I think, all of our hearts are so different. We're all made so differently. So I think the most important question we can ask ourselves is, what inspires you? And I love candles. I love twinkle lights. They inspire me. So that's like the first thing. Like right now I have this like really awesome Yankee candle that I found that I got for Advent because it's purple, and it's called Vineyard. That's the scent. And literally it smells so beautiful. Like every morning when I get up to take my prayer time, I light this candle and I'm like, oh, like, like engaging our senses is really important. And I turn on my twinkle lights and I put my pretty little lamp on, and the shade makes me happy. And I love literally I got this desk for free and I painted it white, so it's not about expensive. It's about what inspires you. Maybe you want a picture of your kids in your prayer space. Maybe you want to think about the things you're grateful for. Have a picture of like your godchildren, or, I have some friends who they have a cool picture of their godchildren in their prayer space because they want to remember to pray for them every day, So really that's just a super individual question, whatever, but give yourself like the time to think about that a little bit. Like if I went on a retreat and I walked into like a prayer space that I could designate, I could decorate myself, what would be in it? Plants. I love plants. I'm a huge gardener. So right now there's not a plant on my desk, but I have flowers almost 365 days a year. I have a little jar of flowers on my desk here where I pray. And I always have flowers in my kitchen because, that's where we live 98% of the time. So I just bought flowers at Trader Joe's today.
How did you hang your twinkle lights? I love twinkle lights. I have some around in my living room, but I'm wondering, did you nail them up on the?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I literally have a nail about every, foot. And then I just twist them. So I like, instead of just laying them, I like twist them at the nail, and so I can pull it taut everywhere that we go. And literally, that they'll maybe last a year. And then my husband's like, oh, here we go again, more twinkle lights, and I'm replacing them. But I have them in my kitchen, in my sunroom, and my bedroom year round. And I turn them on every day.
So, yeah.
Candles and twinkle lights and flowers. Those are my go-tos.
It works.
I know our time is almost up here, but does anybody else have a question? I want to honor our ending time here. I know you all have other things to do.
One just question, I heard you on some other interview did about like a prayer bag, but like in my bedroom doesn't really have a space for praying, but so I kind of rotate where I pray. I don't know if you can like capture what you would do in a prayer space in your bedroom, like, but make it portable?
Okay, that's a great question. So I have, like I showed you my little container
Mhm.
where I have all my books. And next to my container, let me see if I can show you this. Again, this could go anywhere, but I have a little white, can you see this little white basket down there?
Mhm.
All my
Yeah.
prayer stuff is in that basket. And I don't use all of it all the time. Like I use my journal just about every day, but I have some different books that I like to rotate through.
Mhm.
So I have a little bag that I just keep kind of, it's usually tucked in there right next to the basket. So because I mostly pray here, I will pray sometimes. We have a beautiful crucifix over our fireplace in our living room. So if the kids miraculously are all in another place, sometimes I'll go and sit in front of the fireplace. Or if it's like 11 o'clock PM and I haven't prayed yet, and they're all maybe doing something else, I'll go pray down there so my husband can go to sleep. But I love that idea of like, have your prayer, have your stuff set up. It's like going to the gym, right? If you have your stuff in the bag, you're more likely to pick up the bag and go versus like, oh, I don't know where my workout pants are and I got to find socks. Like have your stuff ready where you need to use it. So I have my little bag tucked in there. So if I'm going to adoration or I'm going to go pray somewhere else, then I can take it with me.
Okay.
But it has a permanent home kind of in that little basket right next to my desk here where I pray most of the time.
Thanks.
Okay, I have a question.
All right.
Okay, so what could you, maybe if this is possible, could you like give a list? Like what would you say are like essential elements of a bedroom and what are maybe like common things you see in bedrooms that like just shouldn't be there?
Oh, that's a good one.
Kids' toys, kids' things in general, I would say. Laundry upon laundry upon laundry. FYI, I have a really good friend who has 11 children. And about 7 or 8 years ago, she was at my house for an extended period of time, the Bilajeski's, Abby.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she's just a few years older than I am, but she started having kids earlier. So she's like 10 years ahead of me in mothering. And I said, tell me what you learned about me in these last 5 days and tell me what I can be doing better. She's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, no, I really want you to, like, that's my personality. Like, I want to improve. She was like, well, okay, I do have a few things. Yeah. I'm like, I knew it. But one of the things she said to me is like, why are you doing your children's laundry? Like, they're all perfectly old enough. My youngest was like 8 at that time. Like, if they can read, you can teach them pretty quickly, put some Post-it notes on, you can teach them how to do laundry. So I think like that was a game changer for my bedroom too, because we used to like fold in here, like everybody's laundry would come in, we would fold and sort. And then kind of when your kids are old enough to, or your grandkids to start doing that themselves, that stuff can come out of your bedroom. But really, Abby, I think that's kind of a personal question too, because again, it goes back to like, what's the vision for your space? If your bedroom is the place where you want to have little movie nights with your husband, then the TV belongs there. But if your TV is taking away from time with your husband, or like it's like eliminating any of the peace in your house because random noise is just blaring, then maybe you should think about getting rid of it. Maybe you do have to have some toys in your bedroom because like that's the spot where your 2-year-old will actually sit and be quiet for 20 minutes. And you maybe could like get a magazine, a few pages read, or take a little bit of prayer time or something like that, So I think it's hard to come up with like a big general list like that. But I think most moms just, their bedroom is their dumping ground because they think, well, where else am I going to put it? I had a mom once who could not get into her closet because the floor was literally filled 4 feet tall with, those seasonal clothes that she'd take out of her kids' closets, and she didn't really know what to do with them. And so she just threw everything in her closet to the point where she had to climb on them like to get to her clothes. So
are you, I know we're going to talk about kids spaces. Is that like living spaces, or would you be willing to talk about like kids bedrooms? Like
the primary thing we're going to talk about is kids bedrooms and
okay, cool.
space for toys. Yeah. And I'm willing to talk about, this is for you. You guys are in charge here. I'm the invited guest. We're going to do whatever you guys want to talk about. So, but
What
yeah.
about, I think the bed making thing is kind of hard because so we have separate duvets.
Okay.
We've always, since the first day of our marriage, we're like, I am not going to fight with you over my duvet. We're getting our own. We even registered for 2 of everything. And so that's like a lot of like material to try to like, 2 sheets, 2 duvets, you know, obviously the 2 pillows. So like to get that looking nice, it's really tricky. And although duvets are super like cozy, they are tough to get pretty on a bed.
All right. Let me play devil's advocate, right? Because that's what you're all paying me the big bucks to do here. Lauren, how long would it take you to make it pretty?
Like, yeah, I know, right. I don't know. I think a while, like, cause
So maybe try it and decide,
yeah,
like, let's say it takes you 10 minutes. Like, is it worth it? Is it worth 10 minutes? Like, as I'm walking
Yeah.
in and out of my room all day long, I don't know about you guys, but I'm in and out of my room a lot, you know?
yeah. Like my husband and I, that's what's so weird about us. We like never go in our bedroom. We go there when we are ready to lay in our bed and close our eyes. That's pretty much
Well-
like when we go in there.
You have littles, right?
We do. Yeah.
So I was in my room a lot less when my kids were little. I'm in my room a lot more now because when they're teenagers, they're everywhere.
Oh,
Can't
that's
put them to
funny.
bed. You can't put them
Yeah.
to bed anymore. So I'm like, I'm locking my door in my room. So
Yeah. But I do think there's something really lovely about a made bed. Like our parents always make their bed and we feel like the room is like so inviting.
okay, so take it as like an experiment in this next month till we meet again, right?
To do it every
Try to make your
day.
bed
That's
for a
like,
week, every day, and just see.
it doesn't start for like 4 more weeks.
Lauren, I was just gonna say that my husband read, well, you know, Steve, he read something about how like the most successful people or the most productive people make their beds every morning.
There's a great video.
So he watched something or read that somewhere and he was like, we're making our bed every morning.
It's a TED
and
Talk.
he is like so committed to it. And he also like is my reason to get out of bed in the morning. Like he sets the alarm. And so when he gets up, if I get up, like we make the bed together, like first thing. So we like immediately get out and then he's on his side, I'm on my side. And we just kind of like, so I don't know how that would work with 2 duvets, be harder, but like we teamwork it. And it's like, if I don't get out of bed now, then I have to make it by myself. But if I get out of bed when he gets out of bed, then we can make it together.
That's a good idea.
Like, it doesn't take half the time. It takes like a third the time, right? When you have 2 people actually working on it. Like it's one of those weird things. So you can try, Lauren, and you can come back next month and be like, I'm not making my bed. I don't care what you say. We'll respect that.
I'll give it a try.
But I do think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how it does make a difference. And again, for me, I'm praying in this space. So it makes a very big difference. Like yesterday, I came in to pray after dinner at 7 o'clock and I had not made my bed and I was having a really rough day. And I'm like, I'm going to take the 10 minutes right now and clean my room before I pray. And I made my bed at 7 p.m. because like I was so, discombobulated that I needed to create some peaceful space around me to be able to kind of get myself calmed, And if any of you have to leave, please go. I know it's 9 minutes past our ending time, but if you have any more questions, please. I'm just hanging out here. So
This isn't really a question, but just what you were just with that story, Colleen, like it's kind of like a reframe, right? Of like, I don't know, my temptation would be if I was in that situation, which I often am because we don't make our bed very often or whatever, but it could be like, well, okay, I'm just not going to pray today, or no, like whatever, like things are too chaotic. This just proves things are, too crazy or whatever. But like, there's something kind of like centering, right? Like you're saying, like our God is a God of order. And so like seeing opportunities like this, there's like, okay, this is a specific space that I'm going to like create some order in. And then that probably put like having the space in order, but then also the process of getting the space in order, like probably helped you center and enter into prayer more. I just think that's like it's a very different attitude than the way I usually approach stuff.
I think too, like I really, a wonderful older mom, and it just so, we can talk about this another day, but like to have some older moms and some people who are like those bricks above you, you know, to like my friend did for me and said like, stop doing your kids' laundry. Like she was right. Like what? I'm not preparing them to leave my house if I'm doing their laundry. They have to learn how to do this. They have to learn what not to dry and what, you know, what to dry on their own, trial and error sometimes. But I think like whenever we enter into a situation that we're struggling with, we can really, really ask the Lord, like, how can I use this thing to sanctify myself or to sanctify my life? You know, if it's something hard that we don't want to do, I mean, the bed making is just a simple, you know, example of that. There are a lot of things. I mean, I have friends who are like, I hate doing dishes. I hate it. Like I'll do anything to avoid doing the dishes. Give me any other job. So I always say like, all right, you don't have to make a bed, but you do have to do your dishes. You know, yeah, I mean, you could go for how many days, but if you can look at that, like this is an area of discipline that when I'm actually in the midst of it, it might not feel great, but when it's done, it's going to feel really great. It's like confession again, right? Like nobody wants to go, but then when you walk out, you're like, that was great. You know, it's like you finish those dishes, you finish organizing a cabinet, you finish making your bed, and there's satisfaction there. And it's a spiritual discipline, you know, just a thought.
It's a sense of grounding.
Yeah.
One thing, it's maybe struggles too strong of a word, but it's like I do want my house to look like a magazine, honestly. Like I think I would be more peaceful if it looked like all those pictures I see, but I also want my house to look lived in. Like I have 4 little kids, and I want people to feel like experience the Lord when they walk in. And so I try to give myself too much slack maybe for the looking lived in part, but then it's kind of like what you're describing with the bedroom. It's like, it kind of sounds like your bedroom does look like a magazine. Like you are able to keep it the way that you want it because that's where your peace comes from. And that is something I desire, but I don't know how to do that and have like life happen.
Right. Well, also remember that my youngest is 15 years old, Gretchen. My bedroom was not always like this. Like I would say like when my bedroom is all put together, minus the Peloton, like it is really cute. It's really beautiful, you know, but it's my only space. Right. Mine. You know, no matter how big or small it is, like I told my husband, I'm like, your garage is yours. And I'm like, I have to not go in there because it gives me a heart attack, you know, to walk in there. But like, we all have to have some space that's just ours that we can say like, I'm drawing a line in the sand here. I have to be able to retreat and rest somewhere, you know, and it's okay for us to say that. But you know what? My kids come in and jump on my bed still. My 26-year-old son comes and jumps on my bed and he's like, Mom, I don't tell you about my day. And, you know, still he's super snuggly. But the kids joke like, yeah, we can all jump on Mom's bed, but we just have to straighten out that comforter when we leave, you know? But they just know me and I'm weird and I do this for a living. So, you know, in some ways my home is my business card. And so it's an excuse, but my husband does have to remind me, Gretchen, like, honey, this is a home. It's not a museum. We actually live here. And that's a beautiful statement. It's really good. It's really good for me to remember. Like the goal is not museum. The goal is to create a warm, welcoming, loving space. Like my 20-year-old son's girlfriend just moved to our town and she's looking for a place to stay. So she's staying with a friend of ours right now while she's searching. And we were just talking about this because she said, I grew up with 5 kids too, but our house was so chaotic all the time that it never felt peaceful. You know, like it just wasn't something my mom cared about that much, you know? And she's like, the thing I've enjoyed the most about these couple of weeks, like being at your home is just, it's warm. Like if people use the word warm and cozy to describe my home, that's way more important to me than gorgeous. And, you know, like, you know, I don't know. pick other words, but I want my home to be warm, but I want it to be peaceful. And it can only be so peaceful when there are 67 things out of place in every room, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we host net teams all the time. That's how I met Abby. And like, we couldn't do that. Like, we couldn't open up our home to 12 crazy missionary kids to come in and, you know, live here for a day or two at a time if there wasn't some structure. So for me, that's a big motivator, you know? Like, none of you guys wouldn't be here on this call if this was not a desire of your heart, you know? So,
And Colleen, what do you say that, I mean, it's a lot easier, I think, to keep things ordered if you have less things. So like, I have gone many times to my children's toys and just like, I just get rid of stuff all the time. Like, if they don't clean it up, they know mom's coming down with a trash bag and everything on the floor goes in the trash bag, and then it leaves and it goes to Goodwill and they watch me hand it to the people at Goodwill. Like
come
we
do
just
that
don't
for
do
me.
that, you know? And it's slowly you just have less and less things, right? Like, it's nice to have like 6 throw pillows on your couches, but then you always have to like put the throw pillows back.
it's true.
So
It's probably
there's something about that, like a balance between those things.
of them, or maybe I'll introduce them to you at some point during these 4 weeks. But when I gave my last talk, it was a Zoom talk, and I said, so you guys tell me, I want you guys to tell me, like, so I asked them some questions about like what's been cool and what's been hard about growing up in a house with a mother as a professional organizer, right? And they literally, Lauren said like they said a lot of wonderful things, but then they were like, it's such a pain that we have to fold the blankets every time we get up from the couch, you know, because I love my pillows and my blankets. I want them in every room, but I have so many. Like, I don't have a lot of things, but like every couch has a cozy blanket and like a nice pillow that you can just like curl up in, you know? So again, it's like, that's my OCD part and it is what it is. And we all just kind of, I mean, I'm never going to be the person who is just like, sometimes I envy my friends who are just like, hey, you know, I mean, I'll get to it, but it's not going to be today, you know? My husband's like, can you just go to bed with dishes in the sink? And I'm like, no. You know, even though I just should do that sometimes. So I think, you know, I'm like, pray for me, just pray for me. So we have to know ourselves and we have to know our strengths and weaknesses, you know, but it is interesting because even though I literally have one of my 5 children is naturally organized and the other 4 struggle like all normal people do. And I mean, they grew up with a lot of expectations, right? And they know how to do a lot of things that kids their age don't know how to do. But I think that in the long run, it's kind of that story, like full circle, going back to how I opened this whole night. Like, it's a decision we all get to make about our own houses, you know? And I didn't decide until I was running my own home and I was experiencing the stress of the clutter that I'm like, okay, most people, you're one or two things. Either you're like me and not doing the organizing causes more stress, or you're like what I think most normal people, and the thought of having to do the organizing causes you more stress. So we tend to go toward that thing of least resistance, right? So for me, I'm going to stay up when I should have gone to bed, because the thought of waking up to tomorrow's dishes, and we'll talk about that when we talk about kitchens, makes me more stressed out than losing that half an hour of sleep. But for you, it might be the opposite. Like, no, I have to go to bed. And that's okay. You know, I'm not here to say like everyone's bedroom should look like a magazine. I'm here to say like, give yourself the gift of making your bedroom a sanctuary, whatever that means to you. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have beautiful pillows. If you could care less about beautiful pillows, do not have beautiful pillows, you know? But that's something that I really, really love. And I never had growing up. Like, that was not my mom. She had zero decorating sense, nada, you know? I mean, I love my mom, but you know, she wore purple polyester pants and dyed her hair a different color every month. And she was just her own fun self, but decorating and organizing was not her thing. So Anyway. All right, well, ladies, next month, office spaces and paper clutter, everybody's favorite topic. So for your homework this month, just if you do no other rooms, walk into your bedroom with that paper and pen and envision the bedroom you'd love to have. And Claire, you really get to I'm a little jealous, like fresh start, clean slate. And Kristen, right? Was it you you're building your house right now? Who's building a house right now?
We're gonna be
Lauren
building
is, yeah. So I'm like, what a fun, helping people move into their new spaces is like my absolute favorite client in the whole world, because it's just such an amazing opportunity. Because, once we put something in our house, Claire, you're already probably experiencing this, it's really hard for it to go somewhere else. Whether it's like a bunch of crap we just throw in that, drawer, and then it just dies back there. 20 years later, I have clients where I'm literally finding things in the back of drawers. They're like, that's literally been there for 30 years. So to have the gift of being able to decide, like, from the day you move into a house, like, no, I'm going to have less in this space, and I'm going to give myself the time to really put it where I want it to go. So anyway, and then, so second thing, so think about your bedrooms, pick maybe one thing to do in your bedrooms this month that will bring you joy, to, Marie Kondo us all, and spark some joy. And then second, think about the subject for the next time with office space and paper clutter, and you guys are like so fun, great discussion here. There was like no pulling teeth at all. So I don't think we're going to have any trouble, but so we can think about that for next time.